Tell us a little bit about growing up as a high school student. What it was like being LDS?
Yes. So around the age of 15 is when I actually started to become really into the LDS church. So from around like as a child, I was always a very obedient child. So like whatever people told me to do, I would do. And so when I turned 15, that was when I started reading the Book of Mormon really heavily. That's when I started going to all the activities really heavily. I also started attending church, not 3 hours a day, but like 6 hours. Like I would go to different churches. So I was always really religious, and I would go to all the state conferences. I moved around a lot. So church really became a security blanket for me. It was a place that was always the same no matter where I went. So it became a really big part of my life.
Sounded like you became very devout. How much of the doctrine of the LDS church would you say that you understood at that time, or did that develop later on?
You know, a lot of the doctrine actually at that age as well became really scary to me. And what I mean by that is Mormonism is a very like works-based religion, meaning that if you don't do this, then you're going to get punished. And if you do this, then you're not going to get punished. And so I started to really worry about my salvation. Like I started to really have fear that I wasn't going to make it to what's called the celestial kingdom, which is the highest kingdom in Mormonism. I would constantly ask bishops for forgiveness, other people for forgiveness, God for forgiveness, but I always doubted if I was saved. And so Mormonism started to really become something that caused me a lot of stress and anxiety during that, the more devout I became.
So during that time of doubts and kind of feeling the pressure that the weight of worthiness and perfection puts on to Mormon teens, were you able to talk with your parents or with other teens about it? Or were you just like, the only person I can talk to is my bishop?
Yeah, I actually didn't really talk to anybody about it because during that time, my parents were divorcing. So they were going through their own things. And I had bishops, but bishops are kind of seen as something that's really scary because you don't usually talk to them unless you've done something wrong.
Okay.
Right.
So you don't have much of a relationship with them. Yeah.
And so my exploration was just by reading the Book of Mormon, by going to all the activities, but I never really discussed Mormonism except inside of the church at their activities or out their Sunday schools.
Do you think that's pretty typical of LDS teens, that they do the religion inside of the church, but aren't necessarily talking about it on the car rides home or, on the playground or anywhere else?
I think that I actually have an atypical situation because families are really important and divorce is actually really frowned upon within the community. So I think that a lot of teens have what's called family home evening, where we're mandated to be with our families every Monday. They have Bible and scripture study. But I was kind of just a kid that was good, that was trying to figure out religion. And so I just did it myself.